Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can we talk about Gem and the Holograms? Hello. Can we talk about podcast here? Ye ol' CWTAJ coming at you again. It actually occurred to me pretty recently, Kristen, that in an effort to try and brand this at the beginning as the Can We Talk About podcast, something I tried to make an attempt, I don't know how many episodes ago I started trying, I feel like I stopped saying CWTAJ. Like, I stopped giving that love.
I don't know, how much does it say about my love that I don't think I fucking noticed?
Well,
I'm just here along the ride. I just go with the flow. I don't interrupt your introduction. I wait until it's my turn to talk. I say a funny thing, usually with a swear word, and then I'm out.
That's by design. That is how we design this podcast.
Mm-hmm. We have a word-for-word script that we are reading off of right now. Like that fucking, well, what was it? The really old, like, David Blaine tube video? With people with the cue cards, pulling that way out of the recesses of my mind.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow. But yes, we are CWTAJ. We are here. We are inviting you to open your eyes to take in the blinking madness, the neon nightmare that is 80s cartoon, air quotes classic, Gem and the Holograms. I am Wonder Mike, and I'd like to say hello. My name is Joe.
Oh, that's great. I'm Jazzy Kristen.
Wonderful.
There you go. That's what you get at me.
And we are experiencing Gem and the Holograms via Shout Factory's Gem and the Holograms Truly Outrageous Complete Series box set, as well as Netflix, which is probably also how the rest of you experience it, I assume.
Yep, and it's still there, just in case you were wondering.
Wonderful. DVD
There's
box.
There's my report.
DVD box and a video streaming service.
I'll send it to you in MLA format just in a little bit. You have to give me some time. Is that okay? Is there like a time deadline? Do you need it before midnight?
It better be 12-point font, I swear to God. Don't try to eke by on that 14. I know what it looks like, Kristen.
What if I make the periods a little bit bigger? Wait, how many pages does it have to be? I feel bad bringing this up even. I'm sorry I ruined your joke.
Yes, a DVD box and a video streaming service is how we experience Gem, which you might say it is old meeting new.
So we can let the audience decide whether or not I shouldn't have just let you. We should have just coasted right by that if I made the correct decision and accidentally messing that up the first time.
Old meets new is our episode this week. That is what I was trying to go into before I was so steamrolled by a joke about writing papers.
Yeah, I saw that now. I understand it. I wonder if that wasn't maybe too obvious to our listeners. We'll see. It's our brand of humor. They're used to it by now.
It's a Kimber episode as well, which...
Oh, great!
I was listening to the Princess and the Singer episode today, because spoiler alert, we're recording this day, the day that the Princess and the Singer episode went up, and I had said in that, like, oh, it's our first Kimber episode in a long time, and now I'm fucking sick of Kimber episodes, Kristen.
Yeah, considering, like, not to be overly picky or anything, but we haven't gotten a single Aja episode yet. You kind of have to wonder, when's the Kimber gonna end?
And oddly enough, Gem kind of progresses, like, Kimber's getting really developed, I guess, and Gem's kind of progressing backwards to the point where it's going to be like she's going to be drawn at 20% opacity in the third season, and like there's only going to be white noise when her mouth opens. Like she's terrible.
So yeah, is Kimber going to take over as the main character?
I hope, even though I hate her.
Well, with Gem having a absolutely solid barrier that prevents character development and just makes her seem crazier as the series goes on, we really can't help her. She's fucked.
She's fucked, and so was the beginning of this podcast, but I think it's time to get our bearings and start the theme song.
I mean, if you want to, I'm having a good time.
Theme song.
Me and my friends are Gem girls. Gem is my name. Exciting adventure, fashion, and fame. Once you're a Gem girl, you're never the same. Come on and be a Gem girl. Gem is my name. Me and my friends are Gem girls. Gem is my name. Truly outrageous, that's a Gem girl. Glamour, fashion, and fame. Exciting adventure, fashion, and fame. Once you're a Gem girl, you're never the same. Come on and be a Gem girl. Gem is my name. Gem.
So we start off, we see this episode written by Sandy Fries, which is actually what happened when Rio knocked over that guy's tray of food in Broadway Magic, of course.
I think those were Sandy Dogs.
Sandy Dogs, oh, of course. Well, unfortunately, Sandy Dogs is off writing Transformers episodes, so we're stuck with Sandy Fries.
Yep, that's just how the industry works, I suppose.
Sandy Fries, who is in fact a dude, I made sure to look it up. He's a fairly uneventful 80s cartoon writer with the most like credits under his belt being 10 episodes of Tom and Jerry Kids.
Didn't know that existed
I feel
during
like
the way that I know cartoons several decades ago were.
there's a weird thing in the late 80s. There was a pup named Scooby-Doo,
I'm
Tom
not
and
that
Jerry
surprised,
Kids.
all things considered.
I don't get it. I don't get why these kind of shows were popular.
Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies, yeah, too. Again, the fuck.
I've heard that's like a fever dream.
What Muppet Babies is?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard it's, you know, the kind of show that you would pair with some dank herb, I guess.
I had heard that it's like impossible to put it on DVD because they use way too much shit that they didn't own the rights for or something like that.
See, that sounds like something I would be interested in. I love weird things with rights and copyright and things like that, and just how things evolve over the years, and they're like, oh, we fucked all of this. Oh, no.
Well, they didn't think of the future. Like, who's gonna want to watch a TV show like syndicate? Fuck syndication. Who cares?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want more money.
Speaking of intellectual property, or should I say intellectual poverty, because I read the sign wrong at first.
Yeah, musicians against intellectual property. That would be... That's even more confusing than intellectual poverty, which they don't go into at all.
No, they don't. They didn't even need that banner. It could have just been a concert.
Yeah, because trust me, as soon as this episode started, opening at the Musicians Against Intellectual Poverty concert, I was like, hang on, what's that mean?
But no,
Someone please explain it to me.
we just get a dude who's just like, and now the truly outrageous Gem and the Holograms.
Yeah, and they might as well be coming off of an airplane with their hands over their heads, so excited to see the crowd. And like 10 seconds into the episode, we got a song.
Yeah, Gem and company come out on stage. They're all wearing kind of 50s-y looking things. Not as much as the music video. Maybe I'm just associating their look with the 50s because they play a 50s song. But like Gem has a bayonetta hair cone too for some reason.
Yeah, they're doing some sort of weird, I don't know, like 50s, 80s fusion. I see the elements, and I've studied this sort of thing. So...
Gem says they are performing a cover of a song from 1954, which is the first song of the evening. Rock and Roll is Forever. Literally 20 seconds into the episode, we're already getting into a song, and it would be the song that we are playing, although it does show up in another episode that I'd rather put it in, and it'd be awkward to play, the opening song, the theme song, and then this all within, 8 minutes.
Yeah, and also, I would like to correct you really quickly. Gem doesn't just say that the song is from 1954. She says way back in 1954, which, like, now that seems like a really long time ago, but man, this was the 80s. Maybe that's why it bugged me so much. I didn't bother, like, doing the math in my head or anything, because it didn't occur to me at the time, but yeah, I was like, way back.
Because I looked into this too, because I was like, 1954 sounds kind of suspect, because I'm thinking, like, when I think of early rock and roll, I think, like, Elvis, and Elvis was, like, later 50s. But Rock Around the Clock was 1954, which was my baseline, because that's a very rock and roll song.
Yeah, basically. At what point in the inception of rock and roll did they start writing songs that are like, yes, let's insert the name of our genre into these songs?
That's the other thing. I'm not sure how early rock and roll was adapted as a moniker for the genre.
Oh, now I'm really curious about this kind of stuff, because I used to think about that with Grease. This is not going to be the first, this is not going to be the only time I reference Grease during this episode, by the way. I knew you probably assumed that it would happen.
I put at least 3 into the notes for Rock and Roll is Forever, I'm pretty sure. References
that might
to Grease.
that might actually be more than me, but I'm also good at thinking of Grease off the dome anyway. But yeah, Rock and Roll is Here to Stay. Is that the name of the whole song? I should know these things.
I don't know. We're getting off into a pretty weird tangent early in the episode. We're
talking about rock and roll. Also, is this song bad interesting?
I like it. I like it more than the other 2 songs.
We're gonna have a discussion about that. I'm gonna punch you in the face with my words, because we're gonna have a dispute.
All right. Another Misfits-based dispute, I'm sure. It's gonna be Welcome to the Jungle all over again.
No, I like Welcome to the Jungle better. The Misfits song in this episode is objectively bad, but that doesn't mean I can't like it.
Okay.
Anyway, first song.
Rock and Roll is Forever, which I just wrote down Rock and Roll Forever because that is what Gem repeats throughout the episode, throughout the song, I should say. Rock and Roll Forever. Rock and Roll.
2/3 of the lyrics.
Rock and Roll Forever.
Rock and Roll Forever.
It's a lot of 50s imagery. We get a jukebox and things like that. Shayna's like all hip shaking, standing in front of her drums. Could somebody get this woman a chair for Christ's sake?
Yeah, I said Shayna doing that classic drum standing.
Jem and company all in poodle skirts and shit, heading down to the malt shop, summer loving, having themselves a blast, all that shit.
Summer loving happens so fast.
They're at the fucking sock hop, born to hand jive.
Greased lightning.
Well, okay, because there is I did make a Greased Lightning reference.
Yeah, that's actually where my reference came in too. I wrote street racing, Greased Lightning.
Yes, they are street racing at one point. I do like the fact that they have like a 50s pink looking rockin' roadster with like the shark fins and shit. I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That should be the normal rockin' roadster.
When the holograms are playing at ye old sock hop. That's a good combination of words there. Jem has a guitar that's just kind of hanging uselessly off of her that she appeared to be playing, but then put down immediately because she's like, that's right, I don't play a guitar. I'm the singing one.
She needed to put on a show for the cameras and then just fuck it, throw it down. Who cares?
Television magic, as they would call it back then.
And yes, here's the note that I have saying it's hard to believe a song like this came out in 1984 unless the old version was really subdued. And we don't hear the old version either, which I thought would be pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck the issue is. We're gonna get into our Hawaiian shirt heckle man pretty quickly here. I didn't really hear, it's not as if they were using like pew pew laser noises during the song and being like, yeah, rock and roll forever, drop the bass. So I don't really get what the problem was. I heard normal instruments there, unless he has a problem with the hexagonal drums Shane playing or something.
Well, to be honest, I know I've spoken before as to how out of place electric drums look basically anywhere else in this series whenever they have to go off into fucking Fantasyland. Well, okay, so the song ends there, pretty much. There isn't much going on other than 50s imagery and Jem shouting rock and roll forever like 90 times, which I'm going to say this probably didn't take place in reality, all of this 50s imagery, because it was the 50s and it's the 80s.
And we're not on the time travel episode yet.
Unless there's like a section of LA that's all like Johnny Rockets or something.
Joe, I hate to remind you this, but they're on the East Coast.
We're gonna get into that.
They never explain how.
There's a lot of contentious points we got to get to in this episode. We'll start with where we are here with shouty Hawaiian shirt man. Well, actually, okay, so Jem finishes the song and is like, wow, thanks, crowd. I guess rock and roll is here to stay.
No, we determined that with our performance just now.
And yes, here is where our very angry man in the crowd, who, when we first see him, he has his hands on his hips like he's going, ooh, those Jem and the Holograms, I can't believe it.
I'm not sure why I came to this concert.
Hey, he's here for the concert for musicians against intellectual poverty or whatever.
Yeah, he was really hoping that he could get in on some of the anti-intellectual property business going on. Then he realized, I read the sign wrong.
Damn it, he's just like us. Yeah, he starts booing, and apparently either he's close enough in like the crowd to just walk up to the stage pretty much, or this isn't a very big concert to begin with, because him alone booing and then walking up to the stage to yell at Jem and the Holograms causes the rest of the crowd to go silent.
Yeah, a poor tan security guard does try to stop them, and by tan I mean they're wearing all khaki.
I referred to him as Charlie Adler Cop.
Yep, yeah, that's also right. And everyone's just kind of like, there's a man screaming at us. Oh, well, and it immediately cuts to them backstage. And Kimber's like, oh my god, did you notice that guy who was screaming at us? Like, now that I'm thinking about it, did you guys see that too?
Kimber's like on a fucking different planet or something if she thinks that nobody else noticed that.
Yeah, but, that's how they start the conversation about it. I suppose they couldn't say, hey, what was up with that dude? It was, did you notice that?
And speak of the devil, angry Hawaiian shirt man barges into Jem's dressing room, and while telling Charlie Adler Cop in the process, hey, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah, apparently he's above the law, so they better watch out because he's going to break all of their demonic electric instruments.
So he comes in and he continues basically what he was saying before, which is that Jem and the Holograms played the song all wrong. They got it all stupid and shitty. And Kimber's like, who fucking made you king music, asshole?
Yeah, and this is, I was like reconsidering again. The music didn't really sound all that like pew pew future 80s glam to me. So I really think he's just saying that it sounded wrong because they're women.
We learn that this angry man is Bobby Bailey, and he is king music because he wrote that goddamn song. And Kimber has egg all over her face now, because honestly, if it were literally anyone other than that guy, she could have been like, get out of here, idiot. But no, he wrote the song. So, and then Jem asks, oh, Bobby Bailey? Like, from Bobby Bailey and the Tornadoes, as if there's a different Bobby Bailey?
Is this supposed to be a riff on someone, or is that just like the most generic 50s band name that they could think of?
I think it's a good 50s band name, at least.
Oh, I like the Tornadoes, but I think Bobby Bailey's a pretty stupid name. I kept forgetting his name midway through the episode, and not being sure what it was, I just never attempted to write it down just in case I was wrong.
I don't think I kept the
yeah,
Bailey. But yeah, he was Bobby for the rest of the episode for me.
But yeah, I also did want to point out, he's like, yeah, I wrote that song back in 1954. This man looks like he's Eric's age.
He does. He looks...
Or like just a little bit older.
He looks, yeah, I'd say he looks good for like a 50-ish, maybe, at this point. Later, mid to late 50s, maybe. He looks better than Howard Sands. We'll just say that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, he's not wearing a weird hat, so... Wait. Howard Sands doesn't wear a hat.
I was gonna let that one lie. I was like, maybe he wore a hat and I didn't remember. So
who was I? I was thinking of one of the cowboy people from the World Hunger Shindig. I think that's weird.
The people that never show up again.
I feel like you could probably tell that it's been a while since we've recorded an episode.
I have a question about, I don't know how the cover process works in terms of music. It might just, I don't know if somebody showed the song to Jem and it was just like, oh yeah, let's record a version of this. And I mean, it was for a concert. It wasn't like an official thing, but I feel like she should know what Bobby Bailey looks like if she's going to record his music.
Maybe she knew what Bobby Bailey looked like when he was young and hot and Elvis-like.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually. So,
For all she knew, he could have been dead.
It is at this point also that Bobby claims that his band helped to invent rock and roll, which is probably him talking the band up a bit, I would think.
Considering how he treats people, I am not surprised.
And Bobby's main gripe with Jem and the Holograms version of the song seems to be that he hates electric instruments, saying that synthesizers are garbage, basically.
Do you think he hates holograms, too?
Well, he hates the holograms.
That's true. It probably extends into the singular version of that word as well.
Kimber, who is probably just feeling contrarian as well, shoots back with, what good is a guitar if you can't plug it in? Even though she's the keyboard player and should be defending her keyboard.
Kimber's such a fucking millennial.
Was this episode written for Aja or something? Like, Jesus. I mean, I'd much rather Kimber be the one acting like a fucking petulant child, but that fucking... Does Aja say anything in this episode?
Now that I can remember.
God damn it. I feel like I asked that question way more than I should, too. So Bobby starts getting, like, all... big about himself, and he's just like, hey, you want to see a guitar that's not plugged in? I'll show you the guitar that I composed the song on. And without any input from the holograms, basically, we fade to the apartment complex. We fade to them driving to the apartment complex where he lives.
Also, that's stupid because music is composed on paper.
Semantics.
You want unplugged. There you go. Doesn't get more unplugged than ink and paper. He wrote it with a quill, right? They did have those in the 50s.
Mozart. Time travel episode.
At Hogwarts.
What are we doing? All right. The building that they go to looks kind of run down. It even says condemned across the front of it. And Bobby is just like, oh no, the building's in great shape. That's just the owner trying to get the people out, which I don't... If it says condemned, I think it might... I mean, if it's legally condemned, I think they might need to... Yes.
I think if a building is condemned, I'm pretty sure that means you can't live there.
I think
that's called squatting, Joe.
From the sound of it, though, Eric's doing it wrong. Spoiler alert, Eric's the guy that owns the building.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, Joe, guess who owns this fucking building? Because my note was, of course Eric owns it.
Bobby says that, it's like the jerk who owns this building wants to tear it down and build a factory in the middle of a residential area.
I'm sorry, what you wrote is in the middle of residential LA.
Which we will come to that in a second, Kristen.
Contradict. I'm sorry, it bugs me so much.
No, believe me, there's another thing we'll go over, but this is the worst thing in the episode. I have written in my notes here. Now, this is an episode that Kristen and I watched recently. This was one of the cheat episodes that we watched before, a month ago. Not even. And I didn't remember anything about the zoning laws thing that comes up later. And I've written in my notes, aren't there zoning laws that would prevent a factory from being built in a fucking residential area?
Hey, great news, Joe. The cartoon saw that.
Thank you, Sandy Fries. Thank you. Speak of the devil, or both devils in this case. We see Eric and the Misfits down the street all crammed into the cockpit of a crane with a wrecking ball.
Yep, so Eric's knocking buildings down for fun, because of course he does. And it is Stormer who says, "You sure got some weird hobbies, Eric." And I'm like, yeah, no kidding.
Eric comments that it's very relaxing as a wrecking ball fucking smashes into a building.
I believe that coming from him.
Pizzazz says it looks like fun.
I believe that coming from her.
And then Eric tells his plan to the Misfits.
He drops the bomb!
He tells his plan to the Misfits that Bobby basically just told to the holograms, which is once all the buildings are destroyed, he's going to build the biggest record factory on the East Coast.
The East Coast of where? California?
So much time passes in this episode, I have a hard time believing we're not in California, Kristen.
Yeah, they are never shown traveling anywhere, which is really weird because we know how much the series loves airplanes.
Yeah, not only that, but Video shows up later. Did they bring Video out to fucking New York?
Hey, Lindsay came to New York, but Video can't travel? She's so busy. Video doesn't have a TV show.
Can we chalk this up to Sandy Fries not knowing where the show takes place?
Yeah, I think that's a good bet.
Okay, so that we're laying it on the table. We're just gonna say that this takes place in nondescript city, USA in this episode. Or just LA.
Apparently on the East Coast.
And Eric misspoke.
No, I think Eric knew exactly what he was talking about. Maybe his plan was to build a record company that stretched from California, from that exact spot, across the country to the East Coast. That would be pretty big.
Jim and company are arriving in Bobby's apartment. It used to be a recording studio, and there's a ton of gold records and shit. And this is the point where I realized this was like the time difference between this episode and now, where Bobby at one point commented that he has been living in this building for 25 years. And I thought about it, and I was like, 25 years? Wait, this is a recording studio? When the fuck? That doesn't line up.
Oh, well, this is where the basic math comes in and you go, what, the 50s?
We cut to Eric and the Misfits, again, rolling down the street but stopping in front of Bobby's place for some reason. Here is where Eric starts to concoct a scheme that he never gets to, by the way.
Yeah, well, he stops to posture about how that building is his mortal enemy.
How it is his white whale, and how the Misfits can help him. That can be his Moby Dick reference. And Pizzazz and Roxy are immediately like, well, what the fuck's in it for the Misfits if we gotta help Eric do anything?
And I was like, well, the very first record that comes out of the company will be the Misfits one. And they go, who fucking cares?
Yeah, Pizzazz and Roxy and Stover are all immediately just like, okay. And then Eric backpedals and is just like, and we're gonna throw a party!
And the Misfits are like, oh shit, a party.
And
so
the Misfits will be the entertainment.
It should be harder to get the Misfits on board. There should be more in it for them. They get charmed too easily by this nonsense that they know is never going to happen, or should know is never going to happen.
I don't think the deal even happens, because Pizzazz just shoulder checks Eric out of the way and grabs the controls for the wrecking ball and is just like, fuck it, let's do this.
Well, yeah, I think it meant more referring to the long con that is the rest of the episode that the Misfits barely help with. But yeah, what Pizzazz does is say, plan schman, just knock it down. And Eric starts to be like, wait, there are people in there. To which I just wrote, Pizzazz, no. Pizzazz, yes!
Not only that, but he'll also get sued if that is the case.
What's a little bit of murder? They don't care later in the episode.
And then there's some very clever editing as we see a shot of Bobby and Jem in his apartment and the wrecking ball heading towards the building. And that's the end of segment 1, is everybody looking like they're gonna die.
Which they do, and then the episode's over.
Oddly enough, 5-minute episode.
Yeah, it's got dark really suddenly. Well, speaking of dark, I'm actually going to bring that up again later.
Segment 2 starts. Eric wrestles the controls away from Pizzazz as she is laughing maniacally, basically. And
everything starts malfunctioning?
Yeah, for some reason, whatever Pizzazz touches, just technology does not, what technology feels the devil in her, and it's like, no!
Yeah, a bunch of tiny snakes came out of her fingertips and wrapped themselves around the gears and bits and bobs inside. And then the devil was like, I'm gonna reclaim this construction machine.
And Eric goes all George Jetson, and much like Stormer a few episodes previous, and goes, Jane, stop this crazy thing!
But in the meantime, knocks a bunch of shit around over. Eric and the Misfits are eventually like, well, this is unsalvageable, and just abandon the vehicle, and then the wrecking ball comes back and knocks the top off of the vehicle, which seems like something it shouldn't be able to do.
I question the physics of that, yes. It knocks the fire escape off of Bobby's building. It knocks over what I described as a meter maid's car, which I come to find later is not a meter maid's car, but it looks like one. A fire hydrant, and yeah, it breaks the cab of the crane itself somehow. I don't know how. Questionable trajectory on that one. Jem and company come outside just in time to see Eric and the Misfits running away from the thing, basically. And then Bobby calls Eric a stupid turkey.
Raymond, you stupid turkey, and I wrote true.
He really is, considering the events that just happened here.
Also, there was a dude driving the car portion. Did he escape with his life, or is he dead?
We don't see him run away. There was a guy driving, because yes, they were all in the back portion, and there was just some dude driving. Maybe it was one of the discount zippers we see later.
I also can't believe we didn't mention that the portion that Eric and the Misfits were all standing next to each other in. Yes, standing. There were no seats in there.
And it was large enough for 4 people.
Yeah, so it was very spacious. It was like sideways stretch wrecking ball car.
Bobby then goes all action hero and like jumps up onto the destroyed cab of the wrecking ball thing and flips one switch, and that fixes everything.
Yep, so he's a genius, comes back, and Kimber's like, wow, I'm surprised you could do that, because you're old as fuck, like, you're gonna die soon, right?
And, well, thankfully she's not as, not like that exactly, because she does stop herself, even though I'm sure that's exactly what she wanted to say.
Yeah, like, you're spry for someone who's got a foot and, like, part of the ball of your other foot in the grave.
Don't you need your arthritis medication? Dude, that must have really hurt.
Are you gonna be okay? Should we take you to the hospital?
But yeah, she stops herself short, being like, oh, not bad for, and Bobby is just like, yeah, not bad for an old man, right?
It sounded weirdly flirtatious, and it made me uncomfortable knowing where this goes.
The meter maid arrives, the meter maid policewoman arrives, and calls Eric a meatball.
A stupid meatball.
A stupid meatball, running down the list of charges against him for, destroying her car, destroying a public street, and parking in a no parking zone.
Seeing her in the background, this is also where I noted that Pizzazz looks a little bit like she's dressed up in a Mick Jagger Halloween costume.
Fair enough. Not a bad look to have.
Yep, and Eric attempts to bribe the policewoman with $50, which is a lot of money in 80s money. And her moral fiber too supreme for that, so she just gets angrier and says that he's going to fill her ticket quota for a very long time.
Eric should have known. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Or maybe Ulysses S. Grant and his good friend Ulysses S. Grant could have solved this situation, and not just one Ulysses S. Grant.
He learned later with his suitcase full of money that we cannot tell the denomination of.
Eric's bribes in this episode are a big low ball and
Escalating.
probably a really big high ball.
Yep, so...
Eric has no idea how to bribe.
This is how he runs out of money later in the series.
He's just like, shit, I don't have to offer $100,000 for every bribe I do, god damn it.
Oh, I've been too flagrant with this record company cash.
Jem and company watch and laugh. Oh, that is rich. This man destroying the building, nearly.
Yep, it was very funny, all that death and destruction, passion, and fame.
Eric threatens Bobby as well during this, which it kind of loses some impact as he's being written up by a policewoman.
Yeah, not really in any position to be posturing.
He does his, I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time. And then just they leave, pretty much.
Oh, I was going to say he springs away, but that's actually an Inspector Gadget thing, not really a Claw Man? What the fuck is his name?
Dr. Claw.
Claw Boy.
Claw. The amazing Dr. Claw and Claw Boy.
Two different people. It's very distinct.
It's Dr. Claw's. It's Dr. Claw's version of Penny, and he's also got the Claw Dog, of course.
The last season of Inspector Gadget got weird.
Fuck it, what are we talking about? Whatever.
They're attempting to fix all of the horrible damage that Eric did by hand, I suppose.
I mean, I think they're just fixing up the building generally, because they can't fix a fire escape that got, broken off from its fucking metal. So they're, like, at least Kimber and I think Shayna Raja is next to her. They're both painting, and Bobby is on the first floor, and he hammers his thumb, which Kimber...
Nailed it.
Literally nailed it.
You're so old. Did your hand fall off?
Oh my god, your thumb. It doesn't look like a thumb anymore. Oh wait, that's just how your thumb looks normally. Ew.
Ew, your hands are old. You look like that guy from Blade Runner.
Kimber offers to help her with the shutters, not being offensive or anything as we are portraying her. But Bobby says that he don't need no new wave space cadet to help swing a hammer.
I'm gonna change my job title on LinkedIn to New Wave Space Cadet.
I think you'll get a lot more jobs with that.
Hire me to be your New Wave Space Cadet. I will stand there and not be helpful.
So here's where part 2 of Eric's plan comes into play, as a flatbed truck comes up, harboring the Misfits, who are here to presumably intimidate everyone with their horrible song. Song number 2 of the evening, Jack, Take a Hike.
I don't care what you say. I love this song.
Take a
'cause
hike,
it is
Jack.
so bad.
It is. All right, so I understand that from the way that the Misfits talk about this song later, I think the song is supposed to be bad,
Yeah.
which makes sense.
They're purposefully disturbing people. This song is the Misfits ruin a neighborhood.
Yes,
and
it
then
is.
Pizzazz kills and skins a cat in the street.
But it doesn't excuse when this song shows up in another episode not used in an annoying fashion, or at least
What's the other episode this is in?
it's in The Jazz Player.
Oh,
or
no
Jazz
wonder we
Singer.
get those episodes confused.
No, The Jazz Singer is a Neil Diamond movie. Did I make this joke before? Fuck.
Wait a minute, that sounds familiar. You might have made it to me off microphone.
No, The Jazz Singer is a movie with Neil Diamond, and he's Jewish, and he wants to marry a woman who's not Jewish.
Forbidden Love.
Forbidden Love. I think? Maybe.
I feel like every 3 episodes or so, you come at me with a reference that I can't help you with. You ask yourself a question about it, and then I have to sit here and go, what do you want from me?
The Jazz Player is the other episode it is in, which is an episode almost exactly like this one, which is why we get it confused. Which also happens to have Jack Take a Hike in it, which is played over the PA system at a baseball stadium, I think.
Yeah, there are less zoning laws in that one, though.
The Misfits are wearing their, I think anyway, the Misfits are wearing their own kind of like 50s styles, or at least maybe that's just me looking at Pizzazz's not Bret Hart sunglasses and being like, yeah, 50s.
I think they're trying. There's some neck scarves going on. They're not ascots, are they?
I don't think so. You think
I should
Ascot
know
should think
this.
Fred from Scooby-Doo, and they don't exactly look
Yeah.
like that.
That's exactly where my mind went. And I went, no.
For how much or how little I care about Scooby-Doo, we seem to reference it a lot.
That is mostly your fault.
You're right, it is mostly my fault. Probably because I reference Hanna-Barbera animation a lot. Or at least, like, the
Yeah.
way that they are animated, I should say.
Like, should we switch it up every time and do some...
Oh,
Oh, no, I
that-
can't remember the name of the one with the shark.
Jabberjaw, I was just about to say that.
Sometimes I get creeped out at how much we're thinking the same thing when it
Ah,
comes
God.
to old cartoons.
I mean, I already made a Jetsons reference in this episode, too. Holy fuck, where's the Flintstones one coming in?
We've already talked about Josie and the Pussycats.
I hate Hanna-Barbera so much, too. God!
Me too!
Fuck,
Why do we torment ourselves?
because we don't want to talk about this song. That's the thing.
Well, I mostly said all the things that I wanted to say, which was just referencing Pizzazz murdering a cat.
All 3 of the songs in this episode, all kind of short, really.
Yeah, really, we're just switching between the Misfits jamming with very short animation cycles and people in the neighborhood being like, this music, that woman's chanting is awful.
That woman just kicked a trash can with a cat on it.
Take a hike, Misfits. Get out of here.
The animation is all over the place in this song as well, including something I pointed out to you the first time we watched it, which is Stormer's wearing like a pink striped getup of a pink stripe and a pinker stripe, and
Also, it's called a jumpsuit, Joe.
at various points, shots of her, the stripes start to like switch colors like all randomly on one leg, and it looks like really trippy and weird.
They start strobing,
Yes, thank you. That is the correct.
which clothing shouldn't be able to do in the 80s. If
Not
this
yet,
was happening
no.
today, I would be like, I believe it. This is some Hunger Games shit.
The entire gist of this song, if you couldn't tell already, is Pizzazz saying, fuck you, leave. And that's it,
Old
basically.
people suck.
Old people, Jack, take a hike. Take a hike, Jack. Get the fuck out of here.
Do you think Harvey would like this song?
This song sucks. This little display. That was the end of the song, by the way, and that all happened, I'm sure, including Pizzazz killing and skinning a cat in the street.
Uh-huh. That poor cat.
This little display is enough for Bobby to sink back into the hole of everything new is terrible. The Misfits. But
They're exactly like the holograms.
but now it's time
One for one.
that we cut to a boat.
That's Eric's boat.
Eric's boat, named the Disaster, of course.
The SS Eric Disaster.
The SSRIP zipper.
No! So, the Misfits, I crawl out of the ocean onto the boat or something, completely dry, so I don't know what they were doing outside the boat that they needed to climb in.
Wearing their bikinis as well, so they took the time to change.
Yeah, but they went over to Eric, who is sunbathing with an open button-up shirt, so he's gonna get a weird tan line on his weirdly detailed chest, and he was like, yeah, you guys were, like, adequate. And Pizzazz takes exception to that and says, adequate? We were downright irritating.
Which is why that I think that Jack Take a Hike was meant to be a terrible and shitty song.
I was close. After I wrote that line, I put a note next to it that said, I predict Joe will agree with this.
I do, which, you know, when we get shit like It Takes a Lot last episode, and then this, it's just like, how wildly...
These swings are too hard.
I know. God, Jesus.
So,
help me out,
Eric,
please.
Eric begins to introduce his secret sons. I'm sorry, I mean secret weapons. I miss Zipper so much.
I referred to them in my notes. Now they are Torch and Mickey, but I referred to them as Zip and Purr.
I'm so sad.
And I stopped referring to them as Torch and Mickey for the rest of the episode and just as Zip and Purr.
I like that better, because their names are fucking stupid. Especially because in our experiences with ruffians, usually their names have something to do with their preferred method of harassment, like Brick, who had his clap bricks in Search of the Stolen Album. So Torch never torches a fucking thing.
No, he does not. They may as well just call him Scowl or Wrench.
Yeah, both of those sound right. Or like Pipeman.
Pipeman. Sure. I want to note as well when the Misfits get onto the boat and Eric's like, take a seat. There's 2 chairs and like a queen-size lounger, and guess what Pizzazz takes?
Obviously, the 2 chairs, it just spreads across them like a fucking magician floating person trick.
And I have this, like, Eric, like you said, Eric is like laying back tanning and he's talking so casually. It's awkward. He's like talking about business so casually, just like, don't worry, I got my secret sons here, Zip and Purr. And they're gonna fuck it up. They're gonna fuck up everything.
When you're talking to people who you were like under some kind of business contract with, you should not do it with your shirt open, lounging.
He is on a boat.
I feel like that's...
Would you rather he was dressed like a ship's captain when we see him later?
Yes. I don't know how you expected me to answer that. Of course I prefer him dressed as a ship's captain. Is that a Homestar thing, the ship's captain?
Yes, I don't remember what from, but just referring to the captain of a ship as, like, a ship's captain.
I need to figure out what that's from. I just remember, it all came flooding back to me at once.
We also get the first shot here of Zip scowling, which we see the exact same shot later when Eric is dressed as a ship's captain.
And it sounds like it's not threatening. It sounds like he's, like, purring or something. Because he's just kind of like...
No, Kristen, he's saying just really lowly, Zip.
That made me uncomfortable.
As it should.
Don't do that again.
We cut to the basement of the building now, where Zip bursts a water pipe with a monkey wrench, which we don't go back to, actually.
No, he does it, and now they have a swimming pool down there, so he did them a favor.
And that's it, because then, yeah, we see Purr laughing like an asshole as he climbs up. I wrote electric pole. Is there a proper name for this? The wooden pole that the electric lines run through, you know?
Yeah.
Is that just electric pole?
This is more like Sky Buckets again. But I'm drawing a blank, and I feel like electric pole is descriptive enough.
Descriptive enough. Yes, exactly what I was going to say. Okay. So Bobby and the Holograms are still hanging out, and it's nighttime. They're just walking down the street at this point.
They got some ice cream. Went shopping.
Kimber talked about new things, and he was just like, ugh, the entire time.
He wanted to go fishing. He just kept complaining the whole time. There was a montage. It was really funny.
But we don't get to see that. That had to be cut because we needed to see Zip break a water pipe.
Yep, and we need to see Eric's creepy Eric abs.
Jem is concerned about Eric and his plans, but Bobby lightens the mood by saying, well, it could be worse. He could have the Misfits play a song again. Ah ha ha, ha ha ha. Oh, fuck, electric wire.
Oh no, murder.
Per cuts
with a weirdly
wire.
Detailed power line.
Yeah, for some reason. And it swings down and it looks like it's about to hit Bobby, and Kimber yells, "Look out, Bobby!" And that's the end of segment 2. And it's at this point I realize these have been some really short segments. I don't know, like the third segment of the episode takes up almost half of it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's been weird. I forgot this while we were first talking about Zip and Purr, but I'm really wondering now where Eric meets these fucking people.
I want to know, yeah, where does Pizzazz meet Krebs? You know, was he a contact that Eric knew? It's just like, I got a guy on the boat, don't worry about it.
At least that was like a boat, so it was a defined number of people beforehand, and she could have been like, you look shady, or he could have gone up to her and been like, I'm shady. You need shady work done?
I hear the Misfits need shady work done all the time.
I heard the yellow lady has money, or the green lady has money.
I
forgot
can't
what
tell
color
which.
her hair was for a minute.
It depends on the
Depends on the episode.
depends on the episode. I knew a guy named Zipper in jail, and he told me that the yellow or green haired lady has money.
The one with one sock, he said look for it, and that's the signal.
I'm open to pay people.
For shady work. It's a really long clothing-based code. Anyway, the next segment starts
Segment 3 starts, yes.
with the great Kimberdini saving the day.
Yes, she pushes Bobby out of the way, and this is all animated kind of poorly because the wire totally looks like it hits Kimber, but it doesn't.
Yeah, if this were an anime, their fall would have been romantic.
Great,
I'm
you
just
want to
saying.
build on that more, Kristen?
It's okay, they put enough there for me to go on. That's their fault. There's more so far with this than there is with like Kimber and Storm being in love.
And Anthony Julian has kissed Shayna on the lips, and it has been less romantic than what we have seen so far with Kimber and Bobby
Yeah.
Bailey.
For real. Anthony Julian needs to step his game up. I wonder if that's what Shane is thinking this whole episode while she's not talking.
Well, wait a minute, because she does point out, as Purr descends the electric pole and runs away, she's like, hey, wait a minute, that's one of Eric's goons, as if they've seen him before.
Maybe they're just really mean and think that it's Zipper.
So,
Because they don't remember who Zipper is,
yeah, I was going to say, in the dark,
selectively.
this dude who's wearing a white shirt and not a jacket that says Zipper on it and also has brown hair could totally be Zipper.
Okay, but in broad daylight during Hot Time in Hawaii, Kimber couldn't remember who Zipper was. Well, then again, I guess her memory was somewhat affected by all of her skin melting off in that volcano, so
Yeah, probably. Her brain probably melted too. I wouldn't be surprised.
she blocked it out.
Actually, no, Aja does have a line in this episode as well, because she's just like, let's get him! And that's it, and then they run after him.
Yeah, they give up really quickly, though, and they decide that Eric must have hired a marathon runner, which is bullshit because Aja's active and should have been able to catch him.
Yeah, they were
She
also
just didn't
all...
feel like it.
I think they were all running in heels. That might have been the problem.
It doesn't matter in a cartoon, sorry. Try again.
Nope, Purr is just a marathon runner. Bobby thanks Kimber reluctantly at this point, and then Kimber says, oh, I know you would have done the same for me. Right? Right? You would have
And it
saved
just
me?
hangs there.
No response as we cut to the Rockin' Roadster, pulling in front of some place. It's the next day at this point, and Jem is also Jerica.
Yep, everyone is doing their little girl group thing to gang up on Kimber while she's not around to defend herself.
This is okay. I have a problem with this scene because it's the public.
Really?
It's the public.
That's surprising.
It's the public archives, and
No, go ahead.
Shayna and Asha are basically shit talking Kimber because it's just like
Yeah.
she spent 8 hours here at the public archives. I hope she's not sick. Oh, Kimber's reading a book. What the fuck?
I didn't know Kimber could read. Did she go to high school? I don't know, because we don't pay attention.
It's just so. The weird thing is, I don't know if Jerica's voice actress was told to like read the lines straight because she does, and so it's just like, oh, she's been here all day, and then Jerica's just like, oh, I hope she's not sick, like concerned that Kimber might be researching that she has a fucking deadly disease or something.
Yeah, joke's on them, haha. Girls don't read. But yeah, so it turns out Kimber was in the archives reading up on zoning laws, so cartoon zoning laws, which is a really interesting plot.
This is where my notes go as follows. The holograms arrive at Bobby's, where Kimber reveals she was reading up on zoning laws. Oh my god, Eric, why are you so stupid, you dumb, fucking dumb man?
Nope, too bad.
How does he not know about this?
So we could do a bribe later.
But then I also have that he could probably build condos instead, right? Like, that could probably get him
Yeah,
some
but Joe
money.
really had his heart set on that record
That
factory.
really big factory. Why
And
can't
that
he...
party he was going to throw for his stepdaughters.
Why can't he? All right, no, I'm not gonna worry about it because that destroys the entire motivation of the episode. If I ask why can't he just build the factory without tearing down that building, but fuck it, no, I'm not gonna ask that. Keep going. Not bad for a new wave space cadet is Bobby's contribution, and Kimber looks like really pissed when he says that.
He felt the need to use that sick burn again because he felt as though the gravity of it didn't land last time.
And it hit this time because Kimber is properly pissed.
Yeah, they eventually roll up onto Sailor Eric's mimosa time, I guess.
Yes, we cut to the disaster boat again, the SS Disaster. Zip and Purr are chilling on deck, and Eric is dressed as a ship's captain. The holograms arrive via boat to deliver the bad news here. We've all seen these outfits that they're wearing before, but I have this... Aj's jacket is red and has this, like, white pattern on it that honestly looks like urinals.
It's a really popular shape, then. I'm sorry, I googled Homestar Runner, a ship's captain.
Oh, do tell.
The page that it's under is called Pizzazz.
Oh, because that's the email.
Yeah, it's spelled wrong. It has.
No, right, that was where Strongbad interviews himself. And he says, why are you dressed as a ship's captain? Because he's got that hat on.
Yeah, that is what happens. So you're dressed like a ship's captain. Why are you dressed like a ship's captain? I heard it was the latest style. Absolutely not the case. So you're still dressed like a ship's captain. Why is that?
Clearly that verbiage stuck with me.
The cheat said it was the latest style. So clearly, Eric heard it from Ashley. That's what we're getting on here.
Oh, God.
And the cheat's not dressed like a ship's captain because he's way too cool for that. Okay, I'm done reading the transcription of this strong bad email.
Quality content from the Can We Talk About podcast.
I bet we would have a really popular podcast if we just read transcriptions of different tunes from Homestar Runner. I'm sure there's a market out there for that somewhere with 20-somethings.
Oh my god. Alright, so...
What were we talking about?
Kimber explains the zoning laws thing, or Jem does. I don't remember because I didn't write down who does it exactly. But Eric
Jerica does it, because of course she needs to slam dunk this.
Even though Kimber did all the work.
Yep.
And it is at this point...
surprised?
It is at this point that Eric should just have thrown all of the holograms overboard, or just have Zip kill them. But no, instead he has...
It's international water. They would never be able to prosecute him.
He drove just far enough out away from New York or LA to be an
How'd
international...
they get on the boat? Were they still docked? I need to stop asking questions.
At this point, Eric delivers, instead of throwing them overboard, he delivers his magnum burn of, speaking of zoning laws, you're on my property. I'm asking you to leave.
And then he fires them out of the cannon back onto land.
The holograms all laugh as they leave, and we get the same shot of Zip at this point scowling as, Eric reassures him that, oh, the battle is not over, my dear Zip.
Zip starts to purr and Eric pats him on the head.
The winning is everything motif plays for something that's not the Misfits, which I think we've had that one other time. One of the Misfits motifs played for the Orphans one time, I remember, and now it is playing for Eric in a limo.
Orphans are everything.
Money is everything. He's schmoozing a city councilman whose name is Sanford, who looks like George Costanza.
Yeah, I wrote down George Costanza wants to quit the small talk and get straight to the bribing. So once again, we are on the same wavelength, my friend.
His tie looks like shit. He's drinking an orange juice.
Eric's hand is huge in some of these shots.
It is. It really is. That's kind of awkward. He flips up also, the councilman does the soundproof barrier so he can bribe in peace, and the limo driver doesn't have to hear him, even though Eric takes out a gigantic briefcase of money.
Yeah, as if the limo driver doesn't know. Come on, he is not giving him nearly enough credit.
And it's basically just, it's them. I feel like it's a scene out of a fucking gangster movie or something, because it just, the dialogue here is just all coy and prancing around like, this could be
I would love to contribute to your re-election.
Right, and it's just like, I love citizens with fucking giving mood, whatever. It's all just, it's bribery is what's happening.
Yeah. I don't know why he put up the sound barrier if they're going to use flowery language to dance around the shit that's going down. But okay.
We cut to Jem and company watching TV, and government must work really quickly in wherever we are because the law has already passed and the land has been rezoned.
Maybe that's the problem. We're in a non-existent place where things just go real fast.
Especially government, which is the first of 2 times that something happens this quickly.
Everyone is really upset, and Kimber's like, well, we need to figure out how to fix this. And everyone's like, learn to quit, Kimber. It's easier that way. Roll over and wait for death.
Let Eric win this one. We never let him win. Just let him win once.
Just what? He just lost a son.
Who gives a shit about Bobby Bailey? I don't even know if we're home. I want to go home.
Kimber doesn't care, and she decides she's going to run for city councilwoman. I think that's what happens. I stopped paying attention for a little while.
Kimber she storms out. She's just like, well, I'm not going to give up so easily. And here is where the second stupidest part of the episode happens, because we get the princess and the singer thing happening again, where Jem, as Jem, is just like, oh, that's my sister, determined to ask Kimber.
That's
Wait a minute.
Jerica's sister, you asshole.
Bobby Bailey is like 6 feet away from you. What are you doing?
He's old. He can't hear them. He puts a little old-timey megaphone thing up to his ears and goes, what? His little ink pot in his feather again, writing music on parchment.
And Jem just yells louder, my sister! Fuck, no, wait, Jerica's sister.
And Aja slaps her and says, this is what happens when you don't let me talk.
Fucking half a brain between them, Jesus.
Yeah, so then Jem gets an idea, because it can't be a Kimber episode unless Jem is doing something really important too. And they decide to improv a whole documentary.
They bring Video out from the basement, dust the cobwebs off her, and it's like, hey, Video, we need you to shoot something for us and have like 3 lines in this episode. And she's like, great, cool.
Hold a camera and dress stupid.
Please feed me.
I'm so hungry.
They're making this documentary for, I assumed that this was, because I knew how the episode ends, they were
Do I have
making...
a question?
Go ahead.
Do you think Clash is just a hunger hallucination of videos? I'm sorry, I got that idea in my head as this mental image of Video being hungry in a basement came to me through your words.
You know
and
what?
now I'm thinking, you know what? Clash is just a nightmare.
Clash is a
come to
nightmare.
life.
Clash is a nightmare come to life. Although
Okay.
she is not Video's nightmare, because we saw her in Last Resorts and Video was nowhere to be found.
You're sure she's just not like Beyond Two Souls style connected to Video and could just kind of float around and make loud noises places?
I think that we often refer to Pizzazz as the devil, and I think that's great. So I think Clash being referred to as a living nightmare is
Yeah,
appropriate.
that sounds about right.
So
I
that is
also-
her title.
Now I feel a little bit weird about the fact that I referenced a David Cage game in a way that didn't make it clear that I fucking hate David Cage.
Thank you. Yes, lay that
So,
on the line.
Just stick that in there. Beyond Two Souls is a stupid game. Okay.
Jem says that they are making this video for posterity, basically, that they have given up, and it's just like, well, here's something we can remember this building by, even though
Just for her own personal collection. Because she cares so much about rock and roll suddenly. And Kimber's not invited.
I assumed this was the plea to turn this into a historical landmark, which happens at the end of the episode, spoiler alert, but no, it's just because Jem wanted a video of it.
Yeah. Jem couldn't pass up the opportunity to get in front of the camera and not let anyone else do anything.
Video gives a live countdown to Jem as if this is 1, live, 2, broadcasting somewhere, 3, anyone gives a shit. Usually it's just, action, not 3, 2, 1, and we're rolling.
Yeah, so Video, I don't know how she became famous, because she has no fucking idea what she's doing. I don't know how she ended up being friends with Anthony Julian, who is so rich that going to Paris is a shoestring budget.
But
You know what?
We're really pulling out references to other episodes in this episode.
I feel like it's important to acknowledge our own canon.
Of course. The content of this video is basically, yes, Jem improving a documentary about the history of rock and roll in this building, and that some of the earliest rock and roll acts recorded here, like Bobby Bailey and the Tornadoes, and Bobby Bailey and the Tornadoes. The classics.
The classic.
The
Singular.
the classic. Bobby Bailey and the Tornadoes. And
The one band who invented rock and roll and nurtured it from birth. And we're the only people to do so.
Jem's spiel is all basically, old rock and roll is great, and we owe it all to them. And we cut to Bobby Bailey, who's looking like, oh, man, I can't believe I was ragging on these ladies. They're not that bad at all.
Oh, also, at some points during this shoot that they are doing, Jem turns away from the microphone while she is still giving narration.
Classic
and we
Jem.
see Yep, and we see a shot where Shayna is holding the boom mic.
Hey, Jim, can I be in this shot? Can I do some explaining? Fuck you! Any way you're gonna get in this movie is if the fucking boom gets in the shot. Now hold it up.
They do a great thing where Jem basically just finished her sentence and video says, okay, now we're done. As if she was like, okay, if you're not going to follow the fucking script that I wrote for you, Jem, we're not shooting any more of this. I've had it with your tangents.
Yes, I said that video says cut basically 0 seconds after Jem stops talking, which leads me to believe that either she's going to edit, that shot's just not going to make it in, or video just doesn't know that you need to let a shot fucking breathe, because it would be really awkward if it just ended like half a second after Jem's sentence.
She's an expert, Joe. Okay, back off.
Her name is Video and all.
Yeah, like, is your name Video?
Her name isn't Editor, though, so I assume that guy's gonna have a fun time.
You know what? You have a point there.
After they finish as well, Video's like, oh, I could show this to some friends. And for some reason, maybe it's because of the Starbright episodes, but anytime Video talks about a videotape, I assume it's gonna be destroyed.
You think Clash is just going to repel in from the ceiling and be like, I'll be taking that, yoink?
She's going to burst out of Video's chest like an alien and just swat the tape out of her hand.
Yep, and then eat it. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
That's good, whatever VHS tapes are made out of.
Plastic.
I guess the editing process for this was really quick too, because there's another example of shit going by really quickly. Maybe Video did have a friend named Editor who could fucking snap that shit out in like a day.
This episode's timeline is like, it makes me exhausted.
Because we fade to people who are watching the tape in an electronics store, and there's a father and son bonding moment where the ungrateful little fuck of a son is just like, I didn't know old people knew about rock and roll.
And a weirdly tall ginger kid is like, wow, Dad, I thought you were a fucking yuppie.
And he's like, you know what, son, I am. I need to go do some cocaine because I work on Wall Street. Excuse me.
And then he puts on his ship's captain's hat and goes to a party with Eric.
Because it's the latest style.
It absolutely is. Ashley said so.
The public is just concerned with this building all of a sudden. Even Cocaine Man.
What can we do to help? Call the number at the bottom of the screen.
Send us money so we could buy hats to look like a ship's captain.
Wait a minute, is that what that fundraiser was for? Hang on. What are we raising awareness for again?
It's a scam all along.
It's musicians for ship's captain's hats.
My favorite new charity.
Let's just use this joke as many times as we can, because it's not going to be funny after this episode.
It'll be Swimber all over again.
I know, Swimber was hysterical. I'm just waiting for when Kimber goes swimming again so we can use it.
So we cut to Eric and the Misfits, who are all on top of bulldozers. There's a fucking army of bulldozers outside of this building. Bobby calls Eric a turkey again for the second time in this episode. It's quickly becoming his beanpole.
I think it would be funnier if you were saying beanpole, but I accept a turkey now and again.
Then Roxy would get pissed, and she has no idea how to read the controls for the bulldozer, and she'd fucking crash them all into the other ones.
He's infringing on my intellectual property.
The public starts to gather to defend the building along with Jem and company, and Eric is like, hey, the law's on my side. I'm within my legal right to tear this motherfucker down.
It takes Pizzazz all of half of a second to engage murder mode and just be like, let's just plow over these people, who cares?
And yes, they start their bulldozer assault, but then Kimber arrives with a guy I referred to as Dr. Lawyer.
Well, wait, hang on. As we're gathering in front of it, one of the things that happens is Eric does say something like, we warned you. So I wrote down, we warned you. Now we're going to kill you, like the law says.
We gave you the one warning. Now we were within our legal right to murder.
Yep, but anyway, Kimber is here to be Leslie Knope but screamier.
Yes, with Dr. Lawyer, who got a law signed to turn this building into a Kimstorical landmark.
Yeah, his name is like Wellington or something, so I just wrote down, tell him Mr. Beef Wellington. I thought that was funny, I guess.
He explains that this building is essentially an early rock and roll museum, so Jack, take a hike, Eric.
That's about as good of a rhyme as we usually get from the Misfits.
Everyone cheers, and Eric takes a hike because he doesn't really have... He doesn't have anything to say. He just kind of leaves.
Moonwalk a little bit on his way out, thanks to a weird animation of him walking. I'm out, but I'm out with style.
Bobby picks up Jem, is just like, yeah, we did it! And I thought it was Kimber with miscolored hair at first.
Nope, he just went for Jem, because you always go with Jem. And I just wrote up, pick up a pink hair lady.
Bobby walks over to Kimber, really thankful, and he's just like, I guess you're never too old to learn. And Kimber's like, or too young. And then they hug. Aww.
And then he proposes to her, which is a little bit awkward. Brings the mood down a little bit.
Well, I mean, that doesn't happen, but an awkward thing does happen where he comes in and he whispers, like, I got a great idea.
That is a great idea. And then there's a weird acoustic guitar music sting where the first note I wrote is, sometimes you wanna go. Like Cheers.
Where everybody forgets the past. Dun, 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 dun. Let's not forget the past. You want to be where you can see. The past is all the same. You want to go where everybody forgets the past. Do, 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 do.
I feel like there's some mixed messages in this song that we just wrote.
To the Cheers theme song.
Yeah, one of the things, the next note that I wrote was, oh good, I was really hoping the crusty old dude would get to sing with Jim.
Speaking of, song number 3 of the evening, the Cheers theme. I'm sorry, let's not forget the past, actually.
Let's please forget the past.
Song number 3 of the evening, let's please forget the past. Coming to you right now.
It's traditional to say, do away with the old.
It's traditional to say, make way for the new.
But I say, let's not forget the past, baby. Let's not forget where we came from. Let's make the memories last, baby. Let's not forget the past. If you think yesterday doesn't matter now, if you think today is all that counts, well, baby, think again. Let's not forget the past, baby. Let's not forget where we came from. Let's make the memories last, baby. Let's not forget the past. Let's not forget the past. Let's not forget the past.
So it opens with Norm coming into the bar, and everybody goes, Norm!
I don't know anything else about Cheers. Ted Danson, Frasier. That's it. The lady who played Mrs. Brady in the Brady Bunch movie was on Cheers. It starts with an old photo and Norm walking into the bar, of course. This is one of the rare songs with Jem featuring... It doesn't even say featuring Bobby Bailey or anything. It's just Jem and the Holograms. Let's not forget the past. But Bobby...
They didn't think to add that detail yet.
Bobby sings along. We got a drive-in imagery. I wrote that this song kind of sounds like it might have come out of Grease, or like something Grease-ish, I should say. If there was going to be a knockoff musical like Grease, this might be a song in it.
My knockoff Grease musical, gross.
Grease 2. If this was going to be a song, it would be in Grease 2.
That is actually absolutely right. The knockoff of Grease is, in fact, Grease 2. You beat me. That should have been my joke.
Aha!
But you got it.
Snatched it.
You're the Grease man now.
Ew, I'm all greasy.
You know what? I'm glad this burden is no longer on my shoulders. It was really yucky for a while there.
I'm glad this grease is no longer on your shoulders.
Ew.
There's not much to talk about in this song, Kristen, as you might be able to tell.
It's still the 50s, but not really.
They're all dancing backwards, and we see, I guess, a young Bobby Bailey on the projected image at the drive-in.
And the holograms are shown singing while Jem is also singing, but you can only hear Jem. So clearly Jem just turns off the hologram's mics.
Par for the course.
That's the only logical explanation. Bobby gives Kimber an acoustic guitar, and she looks at it like, oh, wow, what's this silly wooden guitar? She didn't learn anything.
Where do I plug it in?
This is weird.
And then Kimber kisses Bobby's cheek, and everything goes all sepia, and the end.
Yeah, so what I wrote down was, why does it fade to a sepia photo? Did everyone immediately die afterwards, and this is like the memorial or something? Which now, the explanation totally makes sense. When Eric was wrecking balling the building, he did kill everyone. And the whole thing was a dream before death, I guess. Is
this what we're going to turn into for Jem episodes, considering this happened in Hot Time in Hawaii too, where everything after what happened is just like, that's when we could say that for literally, Kristen, they drive a car off the cliff in the first episode.
I'm telling you, Joe, the fact that they had to have died at some point in this series is the only thing that explains the stingers. Nothing
Maybe
else works.
Do you think it's like Inception and it's all just layers of a dream? Like we're still flying off the cliff in the first episode. Every time they die,
It's like
they
a
just go deeper.
combination. It's a combination of Inception and Final Destination. Oh yeah, one of my final notes for the episode was that all happened, I guess.
Yeah,
It was kind of unceremonious at the end.
Yeah, it happened. That was it. It was the song is structured kind of poorly. It's weird. I feel like it was just the song short enough as it is because we do get 2 encores. It was just like fuck, we need a third song in here, and they wrote it in like 45 seconds.
Basically, I clicked through to the end of the Netflix episode to see if there was a PSA at the end, and there wasn't, so I made my own. And it's learning about zoning laws makes you a superstar.
Hey, it's Kimber reading a book in the public archives, and Ashley's there, and she's like, "Reading's dumb." And Kimber walks over, it's like, "Well, no, you can learn really cool and important things like zoning laws." And Ashley's like, "Wow, I'm gonna go get a ship's captain hat."
I was gonna say it if you didn't. God damn it.
Being a ship's captain makes you a superstar.
Being a ship's captain makes you a ship's captain.
That was it. That was Old Meets New, which is
That was that joke that we made 50 times.
this podcast. This was sort of a case of Old Meets New, as we kind of said in the thing here, considering, we are watching this episode 30 years after the fact, although clearly our relationship with the episode is, considering the amount of tangents we went off, considering how many times we fell back on a ship's captain.
I feel like this episode turned out better than I thought it would, because when we first watched this episode, like a month ago, doing our little gem binge cheat, I was like, this episode is so fucking boring. How are we going to make a podcast episode out of this? But we did it.
Which is, I'm surprised.
And my God, Joe, we succeeded.
I'm surprised you didn't express that to me, considering I was very vocal about how much I hated Culture Clash.
Well, no, Culture Clash is maybe the worst episode in the entire series. So
Maybe.
We'll have to see. I don't remember. I know you really liked the Shangri-La episode.
At least Culture Clash has surprise in it.
That's true.
Well, whatever. Our relationship with this episode is it's the opposite of what happened with, or maybe, no, it might be the same actually, because it's like, I had it written down that it was the opposite, but I didn't think it would actually be fun to record, kind of like you, where it's just like, I saw myself hating this episode at the end of it, but it's actually, we've grown more fond of it because everyone's dressed as a ship's captain.
Yeah, so I guess we have some things that we can still learn from stupid episodes, and stupid episodes can't learn from us because they're not capable of learning.
Now's the point in the evening where we list off all the fun contact things where you can find us, such as the Twitter machine at CWTAPod. You can follow me at Octopus. That's AWKTAPUS.
You can follow me at FunnyGirlTM, like trademark.
You can find us on the iTunes, on the SoundCloud, on the Stitcher Radio. Leave a rating, give a review, do whatever you feel like.
Times you want to go where everybody knows your name.
Which is, of course, cwtapod@gmail.com, where everybody knows that email address now, where you can tell us all about the apartment building that's also a museum, or
Your name!
or the latest style from a lady who looks like the cheat.
Feel free to send us emails about Homestar Runner. Who cares about the podcast?
Next week, Kristen, is a moment I've been waiting for a long time. I know we've said this might be the stupidest episode in the series, but goddamn, Kristen, Intrigue at the Indy 500 might be the stupidest episode of the series.
I can't totally agree with you, but man, if I don't understand where you're coming from.
It's really dumb.
Oh no, it is. I don't dispute that.
But I'm going to make it better because, as I've been saying since maybe the first episode, I'm going to use the Daytona USA music, and fuck you, I know that NASCAR is different from IndyCar racing. I don't give a shit. It's my podcast. I'm going to use the Daytona USA music. Daytona USA music. Intrigue at the Indy 500. Join us. I'm Joe. Can't we talk about podcast?
I'm Kristen.
Join us next time when we'll talk about some more Gem and the Holograms.
Checks in the mail. Oh, say, was that good? Should I do that again?